The New York Jets have made some sneaky signings, bringing back Anders Carlson, along with signing tight end Neil Johnson to future contracts. And this has big implications on the New York Jets, as kicker Greg Zuerlein still is on the roster, which makes for a good question, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe. It helps us out a ton. 19% of viewers are subscribed, but let's get into this video. That's what we're here to talk about, because Rich Cimini did reveal that the New York Jets made two sneaky signings. As mentioned, some Jets moves are that they signed kicker Anders Carlson and tight end Neil Johnson to reserve/future contracts. Carlson made 8 of his 10 field goals with the Jets and 9 of his 11 extra points before getting benched for the final game of the season. The Jets now look as if they will be moving in to the next season with Anders Carlson potentially as their starting kicker. Now, for the season, Anders Carlson, he was fine for the Jets. I mean, he was much better than Greg Zuerlein, who obviously didn't give the Jets much of anything this season, kind of causing them to lose multiple games, which indirectly led to, Saleh getting fired and basically everything terrible that could have happening to the New York Jets this season. So now the Jets will no longer be going with Greg Zuerlein. As Carlson, he was just better. He just had a better season than him, and I'm happy that the New York Jets are rid of Greg Zuerlein. They will waive this contract. Obviously, they'll forfeit $2 million to do that. However, Matt, that's worth it. I don't want Greg Zuerlein anywhere near the New York Jets going forwards after this season that he had, just missing, 15 field goal attempts, made 9. That's just disturbing.
Yeah, Chris, I'm surprised you even got to the stats. I would have just cut them based off that picture. So if you don't know what a futures contract is, it's a 1-year, non-guaranteed league minimum contract. If they're a veteran, they get the veterans minimum. If they're not, they get the other minimum. So that's what we signed Anders Carlson and Neil Johnson to. The point of these contracts is to give these guys an opportunity. It makes them eligible to participate in off-season activities, which means these guys are going to be able to fight in next offseason, next training camp for a spot on the team coming in 2025. So we looked at Anders Carlson's stats earlier in the video, 13 of 15 field goals, which is fine. He was 3 for 3 when he was allowed to kick from farther than 50 yards out. 12 for 15 on extra points, which is 80%, which is 14 points lower than the league average of 94%. So that's, of course, not high enough. It felt like since the kicking was so bad this year, it felt like every time Anders Carlson missed an extra point for the Jets, it just hurt that much more. So you're saying that it looks like he might be the starting kicker going forwards. I would expect the Jets to have him fight against someone else. It's going to be a kicker competition in camp next year, probably into the preseason as well. I expect Anders Carlson to lose. Ever since he came out in 2023 in the 6th round to the Green Bay Packers, he's been kind of a disappointment. I know a 6th round pick you're not expecting a lot out of, but a 6th round pick is a perfectly medium draft pick to spend on a kicker. They don't usually go very high in the draft unless you're Moody out of Michigan getting picked in the 3rd round, which was kind of crazy. I wonder if the 49ers regret that right now. But, that is, we will determine that soon. So, yeah, Anders Carlson, I don't think he's going to be the guy. I don't think he's going to be able to beat out anyone in training camp. Looking at Greg Zuerlein's contract as well, $4 million per year. We'll definitely, if we got to cut him, which they will cut him, because once kickers start to go, veteran kickers who used to be really, really good, once they start to go, they don't come back. So Greg Zuerlein is his career is most likely over, unfortunately. So the Jets are going to have to cut him. They're going to move on from that $2 million.
Matt, I'm honestly just happy that we'll never have to look at this photo again. Just looking at this photo makes me feel connected to some guy who looks like he's on some sort of registry. So I'm pretty happy to be rid of that. And also because, Greg Zuerlein, he had a tremendous career and was the best kicker in the NFL in the Rams. And once again did it on the New York Jets and was phenomenal with the Jets the first year. However, this year caused, indirectly was a massive part of the Jets just completely falling into shambles. However, it is what it is. It's interesting to see where the kicking position will go. But there's also Neil Johnson, who the Jets also signed to their team. Neil Johnson spent 5 years with the Raging Cajuns. 2 years as a sophomore because he only played in 7 games in his first sophomore season. The stats don't jump out at you. He's never played an NFL snap of football before. What is that? That's 9 career tight ends, Matt. 9 career tight ends, not touchdowns. 9 career
Nine
tight ends
career
in college.
touchdowns. So yeah. So I mean, he's undrafted free agent, came out of 2024 out of Louisiana. Of course, you look at the stats, nothing flies off the page, but a lot of tight ends don't really produce like crazy in college, and they get drafted with low draft picks and then go crazy in the NFL. So it's not that crazy to see someone with this type of stat sheet be better in the NFL. Of course, UDFA, you don't really expect him to be that good. He's 6'4", 250 pounds, which is exactly the range that you're looking for out of a tight end. A really good tight end in the NFL, they come 245 pounds through 255 pounds is the range you're looking for. So 250, right smack dab in the middle. The height range you're looking for, 6'4" to 6'6". So we're on the lower end of that range, but we'll take it. He ran a 4.77 at his pro day, which is a little bit slow. The successful tight ends in the NFL usually run a 4.6 something. So, of course, that's 0.1 slower than you want to actually run. Although when he was at Louisiana, he was used versatilely. He was used outside, of course, in line, and also in the backfield. So he lined up as an H-back and a traditional tight end. So he can do a lot of things if given the opportunity. The question is he going to be given the opportunity? Looking at the Jets' contract situations with tight ends, we have Tyler Conklin. He is a free agent after this year. We also have Kenny Yeboah. He is a free agent after this year as well. We have Jeremy Ruckert with more years on his contract, but he hasn't really been what the New York Jets were expecting and hoping to get out of the third-round pick out of Ohio State a couple of years ago. And we also have Zach Kuntz out of Old Dominion. Everyone watching this video probably knows who he is. 6'8", seventh-round pick 2 years ago. 10 out of 10 RAS score, which is relative athletic score, pretty much a number given out at the draft showing, people how athletic you are. He scored 10 out of 10, which is a really, really high score. But unfortunately, he, through his 2 years in the NFL, has not been able to make it into a real game for the Jets. He has been on and off the practice squad. He's probably not the answer long-term at tight end. So Neal Johnson is going to have an opportunity here to go out in this offseason and fight for a role because there are backup roles available. The New York Jets, this is 2025 draft class. It's a really good draft class for tight ends. So there's a high likelihood that the Jets, with either their second-round pick or their third-round pick, are going to choose to address that position and look for the starter. But there will be backup roles available, seeing how Zach Kuntz is probably going to get cut now that Joe Douglas, the guy who drafted him, isn't still here. And then Kenny Yeboah, who's mostly a blocking tight end, but he's caught passes in the past. He's going to be gone as well. Unless he signs like a veteran minimum contract, there are going to be opportunities for Neal Johnson to make a roster spot and to make a difference on this team going forwards. Whether he does that or not, that's anyone's guess. He has some physical tools, but he's not overly athletic. He's got, solid hands, but not amazing hands. He's an undrafted free agent. He's a dart throw. So, here he is on the non-veteran minimum. I'm blanking on the name of it, for whatever it's called. The other contract. He's on a minimum contract for his age group. He can't hurt the team. He can only help us.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, both these signings, it's two signings that obviously it's not upside through the roof or anything, but neither of these contract signings have any downside. So, I mean, overall, it's hard to gauge stuff like this the day it happens, especially with signings that are very under the radar and not a high-profile deal. Like, stuff like this, there's no downside to it, so I guess I'm happy that they did it. It gives the Jets some fun news. It gets, who knows what happens also. Sometimes just these guys literally pop out of nowhere, specifically kickers. So hopefully Anders Carlson will either spark up some competition with someone who the Jets find who's actually good, or maybe Anders Carlson figures it out. Obviously, his brother Dan is one great kicker in the NFL, so maybe Dan can transfer some of that into Anders, but I guess we'll see, Matt. Obviously, these are the two most exciting signings the Jets have ever made. Tremaine Johnson he can get out of here with that nonsense. And Matt Forte and Le'Veon Bell compares nothing to these guys. Absolutely low-level signings. Honestly, Matt, speaking of, I do think the Jets should bring back Matt Forte as a kicker just because, well, I don't know, it'd be funny, I guess. Guys, let us know what you think down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Guys, subscribe if you think Matt should take a razor and just shave the middle of his head, and maybe he'll do it. Who knows? If we get to a certain amount of subscribers, I'll sneak into his house and do it to him while he's asleep. That sounded really weird. I'm going to end the video.